All right, let's talk about a fascinating little glitch in our thinking. It's a cognitive bias that secretly steers our decisions about everything: money, careers, even our families. It's called the gambler's fallacy, and trust me, you're about to see just how often it pops up in your own life. So let's dive right in.
I want to start with a huge question. Do you ever get that feeling that the universe is, keeping score? That after a string of bad luck, some good luck is due? Or that after a bunch of things go one way, something different just has to happen next? That one little feeling is the key to this whole thing.
Okay, so let's break this down. What is actually going on in our minds when we fall for this illusion of balance?
At its core, the gambler's fallacy is really just our brain's desperate attempt to find order in chaos. I mean, our minds are these incredible pattern-seeking machines, right? But the one thing they cannot stand is true, pure randomness. So when we see a streak of similar events, we trick ourselves into believing that some kind of cosmic force is about to step in and balance the scales. It's really all about wanting control in a world that's often completely unpredictable. And here's the core scientific principle we're breaking: the independence of events. In truly random situations, every single event is a fresh start. A coin has no memory. If it lands on heads 10 times in a row, the odds of it being heads on that 11th toss are still, and will always be, 50-50. The universe just isn't keeping score.
Now, this fallacy actually has a famous nickname, the Monte Carlo fallacy. And it comes from a real and, well, an incredibly expensive historical event that shows just how powerful this bias can be. This is where the theory gets very, very real.
Okay, picture this. The year is 1913. The place, the legendary Monte Carlo Casino. A roulette wheel is spinning, and the ball lands on black. Then it lands on black again, and again, and again, for a mind-blowing 26 consecutive times. You can just imagine a scene. With every single spin, the gamblers in that casino got more and more certain. They were all thinking, this streak can't possibly continue. Red is due. They started pouring their money onto red, betting against this streak, absolutely convinced that cosmic balance had to be restored. And they lost millions upon millions of dollars, all because they believed that a little spinning wheel had a memory. It didn't. That's a wild story from over 100 years ago. But this isn't just some historical quirk. This exact same thinking trap shows up all around us, every single day. So let's bring it into the modern world with 4 stories where this fallacy is hiding in plain sight.
First up, meet Arash. He's a stock trader, and he's been watching one particular stock just tank. It's fallen for 5 days straight. He's looking at 5 red candles on his chart and thinks he's found the perfect moment to jump in.
Arash's thinking here is a classic trap. He honestly believes the market owes him an upswing, but the market doesn't care about the last 5 days. It responds to supply, demand, news, and fundamentals. If the reasons for that drop are still there, that stock could easily fall for another 10 days. He's making a decision based on a feeling, not on reality.
All right, next, let's look at Mrs. Parsa. She's a hiring manager, and she has just sat through 3 interviews with candidates who were, let's just say, not a good fit. Now, the 4th candidate is about to walk through the door. So what happens? She subconsciously relaxes her standards. She's thinking, okay, surely this one has to be good. And that feeling can cause her to overlook some pretty big red flags, or maybe overvalue mediocre skills just because this person seems better than the last 3. But the truth is, the quality of candidate number 4 has absolutely nothing to do with the first 3.
Our third story is a really personal one. This is Miriam and Saeed. They have 3 wonderful daughters, and they're really hoping that their 4th child will be a boy.
And this is where you can see just how deep this fallacy can cut. They might tell their friends they're sure this one's a boy because, nature needs to balance things out. But biology just doesn't work that way. The chromosomes have no memory of past pregnancies. Every single time, the probability is a fresh, independent event, roughly 50-50. Believing anything else can lead to some really tough emotional and even financial pressure.
So for our final story, let's zoom all the way out to an entire community. Imagine a town built in an earthquake zone. A town that hasn't had a major quake in 70 years. What are people thinking?
Now this is what's so fascinating. The very same fallacy can lead to 2 opposite and equally dangerous conclusions. You'll have some people becoming complacent, thinking, oh, it's a safe place, so they don't buy insurance or reinforce their homes. Then you have others who get anxious, thinking the big one is overdue, and they live in constant fear. The reality? Geological fault lines operate on physical pressure, not a cosmic timetable. The probability is independent of the calendar.
So we've seen this fallacy wreck fortunes in a casino, and we've seen it subtly warp huge life decisions in our offices and our homes. Now, this might sound a little bit depressing, but here's the good news. Just knowing this stuff exists is a genuine superpower. So let's talk about why awareness is your absolute best defense.
First off, it leads to smart risk management. You buy insurance because there's always a risk, not because you feel like a disaster is due. Second, it helps you stop chasing your losses. You don't pour more and more money into a failing project just because you think its luck has got to turn around. And finally, and this might be the best part, it brings you psychological peace. You can accept that sometimes good things or bad things just happen in clusters. It's not a sign from the universe, it's just statistics at play.
And that brings us to the end. So my question for you is this. As you go about your week, making all sorts of decisions, big and small, where might this little illusion of balance try to trick you? Because just being aware of it, that's the first and most powerful step to making much better choices. Thanks for digging into this with me.